This is Sean Logan, the mayor of Othello's administration office. That's Sean Logan, 500 East Main Street, Othello, Washington. The coordination for the services you got. As you can see, there's rainfall, precipitation. This is from Sunny Farms. Sunny Farms is administration office that they have going on. They provide melons, watermelons, homegrown watermelons from Othello, Washington. They got jade, and they also go seedless and with seed and without seed. Pears, apricots, pears, peaches, cabbage, cucumbers, and also bell peppers that are fried and tied up and marinated, of course, barbecued and put on a rotisserie and then set up on the service. You got corn, pumpkins for the pumpkin patch season, and they also have the services and the arrangements. And they have business cards at Sunny Farms. Sunny Farm provides services. Sunny Farms, they provide services. And they do provide services at Sunny Farms that distribute watermelons, produce, and product, which are homegrown and shared to the community here in Othello, Washington. The services that we got here, and Andy Miller at CO Benton Washington's online. We have Jay Felice. We also have John Cooney, law firm, and law firm has a administration office here in Spokane, Washington. Brandon West has public counsel and offices in Spokane, and also Mr. and Mrs. Vasquez, Department of Licensing. There's one in Clearwater, there's one in Freda, and there's in Moses Lake, and also the courthouse. Mrs. Department of Licensing, and the Department of Licensing department's been in years for a long, long time. There is a apparatus system that they got going on. They have Mr. Carol J. BENZEL, District Court in Othello, Adams County. She deals with the cases and all district, municipals, and also the processing information that they got going on in the processing, which what they have, the systems of tickets, citations, reoffending prisoners that's been in prison before, violators that violate, people that reoffend and go back, and they go to work source and get a job, get back on their feet, coordinating getting a Department of Transportation bus pass. And during that duration of programming, they alleviate and process and stay out of the services of handouts, and Department of Social Services step in, and also DHCPS gets involved because of the situation of getting themselves on their feet, and they're taking care of the children or getting their children back or whatever the case might be in that duration of work source and work programs and contracts that they get and deal with. You got mechanics, you got prevailing jobs, you got FedEx, you got welding programs, you got payroll, accounting office. Mr. Clifton accounting office does come through, and also the owners of properties and management business offices come through. Also Lamb Weston, Congra, Scone Connor, irrigation, aviation program like Boeing. Boeing comes through there, and people that come have scholarships, programs, also have business offices, business UBI numbers, and have been in business ever since they've been born and birthed on their property, and also processing and hiring and firing and employment and processing and dealing with people in Social Security office, dealing with their services, also the retirement, 401k, and also their dental, and also their household arrangements, an array of options there. They have the Samaritan Hospital. They also have the hospital services in all the districts. They get CBHA, and they also have the services they got with coordinary services with surgeons. You got Maximus Cellin. Maximus Cellin is surgeons with your jaw, your dental, and reforming, recasting, reforming your teeth, replacing your teeth with dentures, replacing a bone and processing information, the therapy, and the therapists that they deal with, that they incorporate with manufacturing, BA, your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, and the performance of education and also training facilities with the aquatic center, which is swimming, powerlifting, aerobics, cardiovascular, and that's the Ironman. The Ironman is the marathon, the one, and also the triathlon, which is swimming, and those long periods of duration time. And this is 1005 East Hamlet, Sean Logan's house, Mayor of Othello. This administration office that they have got going on here. They have modified the modifications of the services that they've been going on prawn logging, and the business cards, of course, that's Sunny Farms, and the immediate family members and services. It's really hard to maneuver and deal with situations with the counterparts of working in the fields with laborers, working in the fields with the owners of the properties that, like Winco is a family-owned business. Cimaron 5 is a family-owned business. Carpet Carousel is a family-owned business. Just put Donald Trump administration office and all the Trump towers, and also the business offices and the offices that coordinates with Donald Trump is a family-owned business. Ajmer Singh Nijjar, the president of India, the son of India, the Saudi Arabian king, Allah the king, now is Salam, and that's a son. And the son and the corporate, that's a family-owned business. The oil company, refinery, importing, exporting, CDL A, B, and also chauffeur license. It's a family-owned business. And incorporate the services that they provide. You learn a lot of deviation, approximation, math problems, algebra, trig, accounting, account symbols, debit, credit, bank assessments, FICA, OSHA, any ordinance in the field of working in the field with Sputniks, Lockwood's, John Deere Evergreen Implement Equipment, 956 tanks, Abram tanks, Apache helicopters, C-17s, the Hercules, and also many others. That's the, of course, aviation compound and engineering field. There's always launching drones, technicians, computer technicians, the drone equipment, aviation equipment, the wing equipment, the aviation equipment, aviation fuel, the diesel, unleaded, premium, and also unleaded tags. You deal with the corporations, with oil companies. You go into Simon's Mall, which is the 50 states. Don't forget Canada, don't forget Oregon, don't forget Idaho, and definitely don't forget the borders, the 5 borders of Mexico. And in that circumstances, we got with Sunny Farms, the organic compound that provides services for vegetables, and the organic compound for John Deere Evergreen Implement, Spudman, Lockwood, harvesters, BTPs, alfalfa, corn, and sorghum, and also rape, and also sorghum seeds, cotton, and also the cattle that provides alfalfa for the dairy and the milk. Those services that provide, Winco's a winning corporation, Fred Meyer's, Albertsons, Safeway, Vons, Jack in the Box, Burger King. They provide Lamb Weston and potatoes from the fields from Idaho, Oregon, Washington State. Those at that time belonged to Washington State. All those states and reservations and Indian reservation, Indian rights and civil rights and water rights, and service rights, labor rights, irrigation lines, domestic water lines. This is March. And that's Sunny Farms. And those systems were now Zomatics, Lindsay's, Maxfield's, and also these are Maxfield's, Lindsay's, Rikens, and that's Scona County Irrigations, AMG, Benton County Irrigation, Pasco Irrigation, Richland Irrigation, Seattle, Spokane, Seattle, Tacoma. These water lines and water rights, we here in Washington, we have ocean, we got ocean rights, we got battleships, we got liquor subs, we got aviation equipment, we got landscape equipment, excavation equipment, D69, bobcats, turbo. We also have earth movers, we got bulldozers, we got gold mining equipment, gold mining bulldozers. They're $1 million dump trucks. It's a mining dump truck with a PTO with a dump truck, and the prevailing wage on the excavation processing running equipment, $1 million equipment. That's a $1 million equipment. John Deere equipment's like $600,000, $900,000 on top of new equipment with RDK, Green Star, and also Stellar System, which is jet propulsion for the yardage, anchorage, bushel that goes into the Wall Street for the liquidizing and processing the product and liquidizing your assets into profit or money or cash out, cash in. Regardless of that, that money comes back for the employment. People that are employed, people that have their jobs, they always have their loans, their services are paid for, always coming back for that profit. They're always there, they're always making the profit, they're always paying the payments, they're always asking for processing a fees, they pay that service, they pay for their, of course, they pay for their credit cards, and they're paid for the UBI number, annual reports, and also they're in the city limits or out city limits, this jurisdiction processing, they're expanding their business and the residents, and they're always coming back for more. And Social Security office looks on all that information. They got field officers that in the fields, on the business offices, in the business fields, in the organic compound facilities, and also which is Lamb Weston, which does the finalize the product. The raw product goes to Washed Potatoes, Scone & Conner, McCain's, Lee Boulevard, that'd be Lineage, Clement Cold Store, the Simplot, and also BBSI, which is services that they got for WorkSource that provide their services. Now, the contractors and people that look for people that are graduated already and have their military, they're 18 and going into the military, and they're still in the military, and they're still looking for the service of outgoing for services for business owners and entrepreneurs, own business, small business and big business. At the services they're providing, they're still hiring and contracting and looking for the next person to be employed and put under their wing so they can preserve and train their facility and other outgoing crews for their service for family-owned business. So we're going to take a small peek of what Outpreneur business has opportunities for the services. As you can see, this is probably the most updated information you got on the market now. See, there's only 5 million of us, and there's 1 million of us wearing aspirators, mouth covers, and helping the sick. They tested everybody out. They tested all the individuals with blood tests, and all of them are negative. And all the soldiers, there's 5 million, 20 million, 35 million, and they're dressed in Class A uniforms and classed in of course, suit and tie, and also addressed at their court and services providing for their increments for University of Washington, which is cramming for tests and also providing services for dorms and services.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am filming a much requested room tour. I'm just kidding, no one requested it. I just moved into my dorm a few days ago, and I just wanted to do this tour earlier before I mess up everything. I'm only gonna show like one section of the room because I live in a triple, and I don't really want to show my roommate's stuff because obviously, let's get right into the tour. This is the door. I don't really want to go outside because if I lock myself out, that'll be bad. But anyway, when you first come into the room, you see this trash section / recycling bin section, and here's our mini fridge and a microwave that doesn't work because like if you open it, there's no turning plate or something. I've reported it to the RA, but I don't think we're gonna get anything for it, so not too bad. So that's no microwave for us, just an extra thing. And for the fridge, I don't think we have anything in the freezer. rice, and we have like milk. Is that soy sauce? I'm not sure. Water filter, some fruits, carrot. And so if you hear that buzzing noise, it's the fridge because I don't know why it makes that noise. And so when you walk in, this is what you see. There are 3 closets on the right, and mine's this one. I'll do a tour of it later. And right on the left side is the bathroom. If you go in, see like a mirror. Here's the toilet. We have like a couple towels hanging here. And then here's the shower. And we have like drawers, 3 drawers, one for each of us. And for this part, this is my roommate's. This is stuff for my contacts. And then we have like this little bathtub for the spongy thing. Also a brush for the sink, hand soap because you gotta stay clean. This like cabinet, I think we just have like tissues under, yeah. And then on the left there's another like towel hanging section, but yeah, I don't have anything here. So you turn left from the bathroom and you can get to the shower. And then this is the shower. There's nothing inside because we just bring our stuff inside. Here's some like shampoo, and this is not an ad, so moving on. And then over here I bought this Clean Freak deep cleaning mist because I'm a hygiene freak, so I just have to keep cleaning everything. So we have to save electricity or whatever. So that's the bathroom. So now when you come into the room, there's like the left section, which is mine, and the right section is my roommate's. And then in the back here there's another, I'm not gonna film it. And then as I said earlier in my last video, yes, I put up string lights because I'm basic. The next section here is like the window. And then when you walk towards the window, you can see my plants. I think I showed these last time. This is rose. It's growing up pretty like fast because I planted this in July. And then this is sterling. I planted this one last week. I just take some cuttings and put it inside of this. And this one's Cali. It's funny because there's like a little flower over there. You can see here, right here. There we go. The next one is DeAndre. I don't know, my friend named it. And then over here, you see that funny plant? It's a like brain looking plant. That one's called a rock or something, I don't remember. And then lastly, Meredith is this little thing. Yeah, okay, moving on from the plants. That was a lot of detail. Okay, when you turn left, this is my desk. I usually don't keep anything on top of the desk except for my laptop sometimes. And then over here I have like this mirror. And this mirror is pretty cool because it lights up. Oh, wrong side. It lit up in the back. It's supposed to be, yeah, there we go. See? It lights up. And then, so you can just turn it off. Oops, the back is still lit up. So basically if you like turn this backwards, it turns into like a lamp type thing. It's pretty convenient. And then over here I have my pencil holder. As you can see, I have way too many like pens and pencils and stuff. And over here it's like a sticky note holder, but I lost all my sticky notes, so I just put tea inside. Okay, over here behind I have my ruler. It's like a really long, excessive ruler. And then on the right I have my lamp, and this one's pretty cool because you can adjust the brightness settings, maybe, yeah. And then over here I have like a remote for the lights on my wall. Here are some like notebooks I have for class. My education class. Here's my math notes. Here are my chem notes. Forgot everything because I haven't done chem since sophomore year. Here are some math and like chem worksheets inside this folder, so I just leave it on the desk because I need to bring it almost every single day. Okay, now we're finally onto my laptop. This is my laptop. It's like 5 years old, and I have like the charging cords all connected. So my phone chargers and my lamp charger and my laptop charger, it's all connected to this extension cord that's right under my desk right there. Yeah, so you can't really see. Originally I attached the extension cord right here, but then it turns out like the sun shines in and kind of heats up everything, so I didn't want anything to explode. So that's that. And then on here, the next section is my tea water station. Okay, and then I just grab like a tea bag.
Okay.
And then I just throw it in. And usually I just leave it there. I have like some of my art supplies here. Here's a sketchbook. Here's my colors, my Wacom tablet, and dual brush pens because everyone needs these. And over here I have like some washi tape. And inside of this I have like stapler refills and stuff. And over here I have my koi watercolors. But it's really messy because I've been using this for a while. And my earphones are usually like with me in my bag. Pencil sharpener, stapler. This is like double-sided tape. And then over here I have 2 different pencil cases, and then they're just full of like stuff like this. It's just that I have way too many, it doesn't fit. The next drawer I have, like, when you first pull it out, you have like this random stack of coupons I found. Over here, extra worksheets, and then I have my chem book, paper, and then another chem book. Here's my hard drive. Over here is like this little first aid kit. I have like band-aids inside. I like to wipe my phone with these. Over here it's this thing, 1 line a day memory book my cousin gave me because I've been using this for like the last year or so. The second one is my like journal. I don't want to say bullet journal because I'm not that dedicated. I usually just write down like the lines. Okay, I write down my recipes here. The next book is this. Okay, everyone should start one. This is my commonplace book. So basically anything that doesn't fit inside your like diary, journal, or whatever, but anything that you're like interested in, you can write inside, like quotes or concepts or whatever. And this last one is my journal. I just paste pictures inside. I don't really want to open it. My last drawer is this big one. There's my hair dryer, lotion, sunglasses I stole from my sister, my normal glasses. Over here I have, it's like really random stuff I think. So command strips and like cards. And then over here I have like photo paper and like a tiny little photo printer my sister gave me. And here I have like my phone wide lens. And then here's an extra notebook, some extra note paper my cousin gave me, and some folders. I stuck these 2 command hooks so I can put my bag and my keys. So as you can see from my last video, I did not use that bag, but then my bag broke, like the zipper literally like unzipped while it was zipped, so I was really confused. But anyway, I'm returning that to Amazon, and so I'm using this bag instead right now. So the next section would be like the underbed storage place, and in this box I have my shoes because I don't really want them to touching everything else because they're nasty. My boots, these like heel boot type things, Clorox there because I like to wipe everything down. 2 pairs of heels underneath, and running shoes I think. Inside over there I have my Uggs. They're wrapped up because I haven't used it for a while. Here are my Adidas shoes. And then in this bucket I have a fan over there, and then like extra notebooks. And over here there's like a lab coat and some goggles, binder, and extra tape and stuff. And this is a laundry hamper. And then over there I have my empty suitcases. And over there are 2 plugs. So
Here, just one thing.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see all of you. The first case on today's oral argument calendar is Doe v. Trump. You may proceed.
May it please the court. I'm August Flingy with the Justice Department. With me at council table are Courtney Moran and Brian Ward. I will try and reserve 4 minutes for rebuttal. We are asking this court to stay the district court's legally flawed and vastly overbroad universal injunction of the president's recent proclamation addressing the harms caused by new arrivals who do not have a plan for addressing their healthcare needs upon entry to the United States. The President's healthcare proclamation is a valid exercise of the broad authority Congress gave the President in Section 212F of the INA, and the District Court's reasoning and its injunction cannot be squared with the recent Supreme Court decision in Hawaii, as Judge Bress explained in his opinion on the administrative stay. The Supreme Court there explained that Section 212F is a comprehensive delegation to the President to impose additional limitations on entry beyond those grounds of exclusion set forth in the INA, and that's a quote from the opinion. In other words, in addition to inadmissibility grounds, such as the public charge ground of inadmissibility. With respect to the legal authority to issue this proclamation, there's no basis to distinguish Hawaii. Indeed, there were no dissents from the portion of that opinion talking about the breadth and scope of Section 2.
I'm sorry, I have a cold, so I'll do
sorry.
the best I can. Is it the government's position that first of all, that the president can exclude any group? For example, could the president exclude all children on the theory that they, on no theory, first of all, i.e. does he have to have a reason, or B, on the basis that it's against the reason it's against the interests of the United States is because they use up educational resources.
The 212F, and I don't know the answer to that because I haven't studied the provisions of the INA addressing children,
Well, you should, and there aren't particularly any. There's certainly nothing that addresses whether, we know constitutionally that they have to be allowed to go to school, but there's nothing specific that says whether children can come in or not. There are some provisions that have special provisions for children.
Yeah, well, I'm saying the TVPRA sets up a very specialized scheme for unaccompanied children, and I have not studied that and whether and how that works with Section 212F, so I don't want to directly answer that. I do want to say if the President, and this is the language of the statute, whenever the President finds the entry of any class of aliens would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he can suspend or put restrictions on entry.
Well, yes,
and
but
that is
if you looked at the list of when this has ever happened, it's always had something specific to do with foreign relations in the sense that we usually use the term foreign relations. Now, I understand that you're saying that anything having to do with immigration is foreign relations, but it's always been foreign relations or national security in some identifiable sense. And the interests of the United States, given the history of this provision, can certainly be understood in that fashion.
I would push back on that a little bit. In Sale, it was about a blockade in the high seas, and the court the proclamation talks about the burdens of people arriving by the high seas would place on the immigration system. That is a domestic harm that the president identified.
But they were on the high seas.
I understand that, but the point is that the rationale
foreign relations,
for that,
piracy, all that.
Entry into the United States is the same thing. I'd also note Aburesk, which the Supreme Court favorably cited in Hawaii, talks about injuries inside the United States, and the D.C. Circuit there said, well, this ground of inadmissibility might not apply, but the president is not powerless. He can add a restriction on entry that would address this harm from in the United States. And Hawaii itself, we can talk about it's a national security, but the ultimate harm addressed there is harm inside the United States if there was inadequate screening. So, and the statute itself speaks of harms to the interests of the United States, which could be foreign relations harms.
Also, is this a one-way ratchet? Can the president exclude whoever he wants, but can't let in whoever he wants?
Well, that is really the way the INA was set up. Congress set up a number of specific inadmissibility grounds, And then it said the president also can add them. You have discretion, and in the terms of the Supreme Court, the statute exudes deference to the president and entrusts to the president the decision-making on which additional reasons to preclude entry. And that is a scheme that Hawaii approved. And it makes sense because Congress and the president share constitutional responsibility over the border, over the entry of aliens. And that comes from NAUF, where the Supreme Court, in a non-delegation challenge back in 1950 said, no, the non-delegation doctrine does not apply here because the president and Congress share authority. This precursor to Section 1185.
But again, that was specifically in the context of a national emergency.
Yes, because the statute at that time said it was applied when there's a national emergency. And Hawaii talked about that change in the statute and said, one reason you can't limit 212F to national emergencies or war or things like that is because Congress removed that language and gave and understood that the president would have essentially coextensive authority to define when there's a class of aliens will cause a detriment to the United States and should be and entry should be precluded.
I understand the government's position that we should not look past the findings or examine the findings, but is there any support in the administrative record for the statement in the proclamation that immigrants are 3 times more likely not to have health insurance than citizens?
I do want to talk about the justification. Hawaii said it's, quote, questionable whether a court could review it, but if you take a look.
I'm sorry, my question was, is there any support in the administrative record for that statement?
Okay, I'm sorry, I should have been more direct. The administrative record that we submitted to the court relates to the implementation of the proclamation. There is not an administrative record for the proclamation. It is a presidential proclamation.
So there's no support in the administrative record you submitted. Is there support anywhere else you can cite to?
In plaintiff's coup declaration, they cite statistics that show, similar to what the president found, that a much higher percentage of new arrivals lack health insurance than.
I'm looking for the statement that 3 times as many. It's made in the proclamation. There's no citation to it, and if there isn't a citation to it, that's fine. We can then talk to them about the next step. But is there any support in the record?
The proclamation stands on its own as the president's determination, and I do want to stress that the plaintiffs have not disputed that aspect of it. They have said it's not as big a problem because there's a small number of new arrivals, but they have not disputed that.
And because immigrants use less medical care.
And because they use maybe because they don't have health insurance.
Being that all immigrants, not just legal immigrants, as I understand it.
Their coup declaration is very general. It's not talking about the same groups, and they mentioned that in their papers.
Right, but he says that even if you look at all immigrants, the percentage of uncompensated care or of care, or uninsured care that they're using is something like 0.6% or something like that, or 0.06%, something minuscule.
New immigrants are a small portion of the total population of the United States, so that's not surprising. But
so it's therefore not surprising that this problem, which is a big national problem, although the thrust of the current administration is to have more uninsured people, not fewer, this particular group is being singled out. And this is the one thing I want to ask, despite the fact that Congress has specifically provided for covering them in a subsidized fashion under the ACA, right? Doesn't the ACA specifically provide for illegal immigrants to have subsidized care, yet the subsidized care does not count for this purpose?
The ACA does permit LPRs to obtain subsidies, cost-sharing subsidies on the individual market. And
so why isn't that a direct contradiction with Congress, leaving aside the INA itself, which we can get to?
Well, there are a few reasons. First, I want to stress, plaintiffs did not argue this in their PI motion. They argued that it violates the public charge.
No, they did. The district court did not rule on it, but they argued it.
Well, I question that. If you look at their PI motion from page 13 to 20, they talk about the provisions they think it violates, and they don't talk about the ACA. But in any event, the district court didn't rule on it, so we're sort of pretty far away from the record here.
Yeah,
but
we can affirm on any basis, at least according to DACA and the other cases, that we don't necessarily have to, we're not confined by the district court opinion.
Well, we're asking for a stay, so we think you should look at the grounds the district court ruled on to issue the injunction, but there's no conflict with the ACA, and I want to stress that. There is just no conflict. First, the ACA says nothing about entry. It talks about plans that are available once a person is here. And it says nothing about 212F, which gives the president this authority to make restrictions on entry. Second, there's nothing about the proclamation that limits an alien once they arrive. An alien can get a plan that satisfies the proclamation, come to the United States, and then under the ACA get a subsidized ACA plan. There's nothing preventing that. And in that situation, what's happened? We have a new immigrant who has insurance, and that is the problem the president was tackling. 3 times as many new arrivals lack any insurance, and if the alien makes a plan and maybe talks to advocacy organizations, how can I navigate this new requirement? What it does is at the end of the day, it's more likely that the alien will have health insurance, which is what the president is trying to tackle. And I want to stress, this is the increase. We got off of this subject.
So what they're supposed to do is pay for the coverage that doesn't really provide much coverage, and then pay for the subsidized coverage too.
Well, again, the president is tackling the problem of aliens who have no insurance.
Well,
so if an alien
yes,
buys,
but then why is he accepting subsidized ACA insurance, when they have the right to have that, and when they wouldn't be uninsured, and then would they be better insured than what it is that he's making them buy?
Well, again, part of the justification is that the aliens plan with their own resources to take care of their healthcare needs. So at the moment of entry, when they're planning to come, they have to have a plan using their own resources and
all right, let's
to be
suppose we
responsible.
thought that's totally irrational. You're saying because the day they arrive, they can get a plan which is subsidized, you're telling me, because they have a right to get that, and yet you're making them buy something that they don't need. I want to know, I have a question. Right. Suppose I came to that conclusion. You're telling me that that doesn't make any difference, and I nonetheless have to approve this.
We think that Hawaii said it's questionable whether you can even connect the dots with a presidential proclamation. The president is entitled to make these judgments, and it is the president's job that Congress gave him to make these types of judgments. But even if you get beyond that and say, well, we're gonna take a peek. It's not disputed that we have a much higher rate, 3 times as many in the proclamation, people who are uninsured. And keep in mind, 3 times as many who are uninsured under a current environment where subsidized ACA plans are available. So that's not enough. That is not enough to bridge the gap. They're available now, yet 3 times as many new arrivals lack insurance. So the president says, so plaintiffs don't dispute that.
All right.
They really don't.
That's just a practical question. How this is geared toward reasonably foreseeable medical costs.
Yes.
And in looking at the implementation of that, how are the agencies assessing what is a reasonably foreseeable medical cost? For example, let's assume Arnold Schwarzenegger comes to for entry, presents himself. He has no foreseeable medical costs. Is there an ability for him or somebody like him to enter without insurance? It doesn't seem to be under the regulations, but maybe you can correct me.
Yes. Again, there's 2 ways to satisfy the proclamation. One is to purchase one of the wide range of insurance products that are available. The second is to show that you have the ability to pay for reasonably.
No, not pay, but if you have no foreseeable medical costs and you don't have the ability to pay, can you enter?
Again, this application of the proclamation kind of got enjoined before it even started, but State Department had issued guidance that said evaluate the current medical condition based on the health forms, which are already submitted.
Right, but I've read through all that in the administrative record, and I don't see any where, except maybe the IR5s,
That's his property.
where there's an assessment of reasonably foreseeable medical costs independent of the insurance requirement or financial requirement.
Maybe
In
I'm
other words,
not.
if you're perfectly healthy and you don't have insurance and you don't have financial means, under the proclamation as implemented, you don't seem to be able to get into the United States. Is that right?
I'm not sure that's correct, because I think one of the guidance documents said if someone's healthy and does not show a sign of having foreseeable medical costs and has, the other paperwork that...
I only
That
found that
dealt with a certain
I only found
subclass,
that
as I
with the
understand it. That dealt with a subgroup of people, but
that
not in
was only
general.
one class,
Right,
because I've
it
read
was.
the administrative record.
It dealt with the I-5 people, nobody else.
Yeah,
Oh, you mean the...
IR5s.
IR5, yeah.
I'd have
Canadian
to-
Realtor 5s, these are the parents of U.S. citizens.
I can try and find that slide before the rebuttal and talk about, but the guidance that went out on the FAM was that if the person's healthy and has an affidavit of support, which is required for the public charge grounds, which shows that they're going to...
Affidavit of support. See, now you're adding to my hypothetical. If they're healthy and they don't have an affidavit of support, they don't have insurance, they still can't be admitted, even though they have no foreseeable medical costs.
I'm not sure that's correct, but again, if that application
That's
might
what I'm
require, it might be the consular officer making a judgment call, depending on resources balanced against reasonably foreseeable medical
But before you sit down, I'd really like you to address the overlap with the public charge provision and the recent City and County of San Francisco case. It is striking that in that case, the DHS went through notice of common rulemaking and had a administrative record, and we were able to review the whole expansion or interpretation on an administrative record, and then this thing comes, kind of out of left field, addressing at least a big chunk of the same set of problems, and we're supposed to completely just say, oh, fine, without any record, any notice in comment, and any substantive review. That's basically where we are.
Well, the president does not issue proclamations after notice and comment.
I understand, but I want to know about the overlap. Why isn't it the case that when the public charge thing specifically relates in part to health and finance, right? And the new regulation deals with health insurance and financial ability. And this deals with health insurance and financial ability. But nonetheless, this is regarded as something to the side of what's already in the statute, which has a multiple factor approach to public cause, and it would appear that if this were valid, the president could simply, with regard to every one of the factors in the public charge, come forward. For example, he could say, and nobody without a college education could come. I gather he could say that, even though education is one of the public charge issues. So,
212F exudes deference to the president, and we trust him to make determinations.
I want to know, is there any limit?
There is well, let me answer how this is different from public charge first, because if we put aside the part of Hawaii that says the president can supplement existing grounds of inadmissibility, which is what happened here, this targets a different problem and has a different solution than public charge. The problem is different. This is focused on the burdens of uncompensated care for new arrivals, whereas I keep saying over and over again, new arrivals lack insurance at much higher rates. That burdens private hospitals, that burdens emergency rooms because people seek non-emergency care.
The plaintiffs maintain that on the insurance that they're required to pay, they're going to burden them more.
I think, if we look at the healthcare professional declarations that the plaintiffs submitted, and there are a lot of them, they all talk about how the insurance products that are available, and they admit that these products are available, such as visitor's insurance, are not as good as the ACA.
No,
but the president
and they don't cover maternity, and they don't cover outpatient prescription at all, most of them, or none of them cover maternity, and they don't cover, and then they have huge deductibles, such that and caps, such that they are, as compared, for example, to the subsidized ACA care, but even in general, are not directed at private, privately provided free care. Go ahead.
I'd like to, they're different, they're less comprehensive than the ACA. But what the president was addressing were aliens who get no insurance. They're more comprehensive than having no insurance. So if there's a $5,000 cap on surgical coverage, which you see in the Palanker Declaration, that's $5,000 that's covered for someone who has visitor's insurance, where that $5,000 would burden the hospitals, it would burden people, the public who has cost shifted to them, and if they seek that care in an emergency room when they didn't need to, all of that is what the president is addressing here. The comparison between someone who comes in with no insurance, 3 times as often as someone, a U.S. citizen, and burdens the healthcare system more than if they got one of these range of plans. And this is a flexible range of plans.
That's the irony of Jane Doe number 2 is pregnant, and none of these plans cover her pregnancy.
Well, Jane Doe number 2 is a U.S. citizen, so she's sponsoring her parents to come. And if you look at and that gets to the harm part. If plaintiffs' declarations are entirely conclusory about the harm, and it's hard to see it as anything other than self-imposed. Everyone says, well, the insurance is unaffordable, but they don't tell us how much it costs or what kind of resources they have or what kind of plans they looked at. Some say they can't get visitors insurance plans, but plaintiffs' healthcare experts say that they can get visitors insurance plans. One plaintiff, Jane Doe 3, says her husband purchases travel insurance when he comes to the United States normally, but now that's not possible. It's just their declarations addressing harm are entirely conclusory and don't justify injunctive relief, which is what
We'll ask him about
certainly
that.
not a national injunction.
Your time is up, though. We'll give you rebuttal time after Judge Bruce's
Okay, I have one more question. With regard to the, what seems to me to be a massive overlap with the public charge. Let's say there is a small part of this that is being paid by provided privately, but a huge chunk of what it is that uninsured people are using are public hospitals and state and local means of paying for medical care. So there's still a huge overlap. And the question is your suggestion that overlap, the fact that most of this, at least, is within what's covered by the public charge provision, makes no difference at all. He can simply pull out something which is within the public charge rubric and nonetheless have a completely different rule.
We have two arguments. Hawaii said quite clearly the president can supplement existing grounds of inadmissibility. So that's what happened here. This is a supplement to the public charge rule. And the second point is this targets a different problem in a more focused way. The problem is different because it's about aliens lacking health insurance and the costs those impose on the public, yes, but also on private parties, emergency rooms, hospitals. That is the component of the problem that's different, and the solution is different. The solution is not if you don't meet public charge, you are inadmissible. You're out of luck. Here, there's a range of health insurance products at a range of prices that satisfy the proclamation, and plaintiffs have not shown that is not available. There are markets that have developed already for visitors plans to address this proclamation. They are out there and available and readily available. And if this proclamation gets intending immigrants to think about their insurance plans when they come to the United States, where insurance is the norm, and it decreases that 30%, it's accomplished its purpose. And the president, again, the agencies are going to submit reports every 180 days, I believe, to evaluate if it's working, and that's exactly what the president is hoping to achieve here. And it's a reasonable way to address a problem that
The government not only hasn't put any evidence in at all to contest the declarations that were put in by the plaintiffs, including that this is going to affect 60 or 65% of legal immigrants. You're not contesting that. You have no counter evidence. Do we just take that as a fact? Established fact? Why not?
I mean, I can't recall if we submitted
You submitted
statistics.
nothing.
Okay. I mean, it does, it applies to intending immigrants in multiple categories, and I think spouses and parents are ones that